Good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending our March Town Hall. Without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to the commander.
So PO's limited me to this spot here. I can't walk around and talk to you. So just kidding, guys. No, it's, as you know, it's always something. Yeah, they want to blame MSO, so I guess I'll blame him.
I blame John.
Yeah, just pass it on down. No, it's all right. Hey, so this last quarter, it's been kind of like hectic, right? A lot of stuff going on. We've had, how many continuing resolution? I don't even know. We have this upcoming DoD budget expiration that we can speak more to at the end of the town hall. And, welcome questions on that because I got TJ here, so it's not a problem. And then, we've had some concerns with the building lately, right? We've had, that gas leak. I can't remember what month that was in. Then we had the gas fumes. Right. And that was like the building was shut down for like half an hour and he couldn't even get his notification out in time. And then it was over. And then we had the broken windows with the bullets found. Right. So a lot of things going on there in this building in particular. Other stuff going on this past quarter. Extended navigation outage, since January. It's going on till the end of March. It's a good news thing. We'll talk more about. And then we've also had a lot of public outreach and engagement. So this is all the way from Lucky Peak with concerned citizens out there with the drawdown of the reservoir to Lewiston, Clarkston, speaking to a lot of folks, officials out there, all the way to the northern Seattle area with the tribes where we're engaged with repairing their levees out there. So we have a lot of different public outreach, things that I haven't even named going on across the district over this past quarter. And then we've had some external STEM outreach. We just had E-Week, that was a great event and very successful. We have a lot of participation in recruitment events from individuals here. And then we've had a lot of tribal engagements as well, whether they're G2Gs or things that we're doing here at the staff level in order to continue fulfilling our trust responsibilities. And then, of course, we've had, my top project that I've mentioned before, which is McNary Spillway, a lot of work going on there in order to prepare for operations here in the next year. So the team out in McNary physically doing a lot of movement of gates and things like that to reconfigure the situation there in order to operate safely and also to meet all the requirements per the fish buy-up by spring season. So what I want to talk about, so we're going to talk a little more detail about those things a little later, but that's just kind of a small snippet of things that's been going on this past quarter, a lot of busy things going on. And I just want to talk about the O plan. So the district corporate board met a few weeks ago at our offsite, and we did that at the Clarkston NRM office. Great place to meet. I don't think we've done it there before, so it was really good to get out there and kind of see our folks out there. Although they were all in Boise doing a big NRM conference, so we saw like 3 folks, but it was nice to be out there regardless and see some of the things going on there, but also to talk about the O plan and getting after some of our objectives, reviewing how we've looked. I've mentioned it before, but about I think a year ago now, we decided to relook at the O plan in more detail because it'd been about 5 years since we really looked at it in detail. So we did that. We moved forward with kind of the new O plan, and then we reviewed like what is the top 5 O plan objectives. And so we have those now. It used to be medical surveillance on top, and there's a reason that came off for the top 5, and that's because the good news is the medical surveillance contract should be coming out here in the next like 10 days. So that's a great news story, and thank you to the contracting team and to safety and all the folks that were involved with getting that work done. It was really something that we've been pushing for, I know, for years, and we're finally gonna, we're seeing like the finish line in sight. It's a marathon, and we're almost there. So the top 5 now that we've talked about, that we're talking about, is CSOMs and that safety action plan that we have. So the safety of our employees, of course, is vital to everything we do, and we're currently in stage 2 of CSOMs. Does anyone know what CSOMs stands for? I hope you do. Who does not? Brett Call doesn't know what it is? Oh, you do? What's it stand for?
Corps of Engineers Safety Occupational Health Management System.
There you go. If you didn't hear it, Corps of Engineers Safety and Occupational Health Management System. Okay, and that, there's a lot more to than just that terminology, but If you want, if you don't know, go get with Kevin or myself or any of the champions, any of the district corporate board. We can explain it in more detail to you, no problem. But we're currently in stage 2. We finished stage 1 up a year and a half ago. We're in stage 2. With the goal to finish our stage 2 by the end of the fiscal year, and we're currently kind of that risk management stage, going through that piece there. And I talked about medical surveillance, huge one. Okay, so the next one is telling USACE story. I think you all know what that means. It's basically, we just want to effectively communicate our story to both the public and also internally. What is it we do in the Corps of Engineers? I mean, how many people have you met that like, oh, I didn't know the Corps did hydropower, like there's so many people who don't know, or I didn't know you had all this fancy fish passage and these things. I didn't know fish can survive hydro turbines. Have you seen the practical engineering video that Grady, I forget his name, but he's a practical engineering guy on YouTube. He's got like 60 million followers, and he had a video where he toured our dam out at McNary, and he did an interview with Tim Roberts, our OPM, our chief of tech, our chief of maintenance, and Dylan Peters over here actually coordinated with the team, with Grady's team, with practical engineering for about 6 months to get them, to organize and coordinate with that team to get out to McNary, do the whole tour. And then months later, they have this really well-developed video on YouTube that you can find now that basically explains how fish survive turbines. And, they got PNNL in there, the Pacific Northwest Laboratories, and they talk about what we do out there, and it really complements the McNary team. So if you haven't seen it, I just encourage you to watch it. It's pretty neat. So telling the story is really important, and, we can do it through, that way, or they came to us, requested it, and we said, sure. But it's just an important way for us to show audiences who we are, what we do, the importance of the work we have to this nation. The next one on the list there is retention, employee engagement and retention. So we have a mentoring program. Has anyone not heard of the mentorship program or how to sign up for it? Does anybody not know anything about it? Okay, you all know about it. Great. That's good. In case you don't, this is a mentorship program that you can go onto our SharePoint on our homepage. You can go in there and sign up to be a mentor, or you could be a mentee, or you could just want a mentor. Is a lot of things, and it could be for your own professional development. And it doesn't have to be like your supervisor. It could be, anybody. Like you could be in the PAO realm, and maybe you want to talk to Alan. I don't know why, but maybe you do. Anyway, it's a great program. That's hopefully getting after retention. I encourage individuals, all of you guys, to seek out professional training or certifications, and working with your supervisors to find a time where you can achieve those, accomplishments that you want to do. I highly encourage that. And also recognizing people's achievements with awards, which is something we're going to do today at the town hall, but also, supervisors can do that as well. Tribal outreach. So we have ongoing relationships with many tribes, and my intent is to continue a proactive relationship to really advance our special relationship with the tribes. Onboarding. So this is something actually they're talking about at both the headquarters and the NWD level, and also in our own level. It's one of our top 5s now, is to improve our overall onboarding experience. Now, there's things that we can't control, like background security checks, and when the system is down, you can't get a CAC or something like that, right? So I'm talking more about the things that we can control as best as we can to improve our onboarding experience for both folks that work here and for folks that work out at the projects, and it can actually be a little more difficult for them since they're more remote. And we also have this new headquarters enterprise tool that is about onboarding that we're trying to integrate in some way, shape, or form as well. So that's top 5 O plan objectives that we talked about, and we have folks, managing that, moving it forward. DCB gets involved as well, but it's just I wanted to emphasize that to you all so you know kind of where we're looking at from the DCB's level. Now, top 5 projects. Talked about McNary Spillway. So we have Operation Spill season coming up soon, or fish season, and so the team had to do a lot of work out there. We have Littlewood River project. Cindy's probably tired of talking about this one, but hey, she just said okay, we got a budget, we got money, we finally got Littlewood funded, so we can move forward with a cost share agreement with the town of Gooding, and that's March 28th. So that's a good news story. We're able to start moving forward on that. And the navigation outage. So we had a lot of contracts awarded for Granite, Goose, Lomo, McNary, And the total value of all of these contracts, project labor, and district support is about $52 million. And we are planning on still ending the outage on the 29th. So that's good. It's great because of the team doing a great job working together in order for us to meet that deadline that we set, right, with the community, with the PE and WA and everyone else, 29 March. So it's really great. Contracting, construction, working together with the PMs, getting all that stuff coordinated with project technical staff, maintenance staff, electrical, all those folks. It's really been a huge effort, and I can't say enough how proud I am that we're able to, it looks like we're projected to meet our deadline of 29 March and being able to get all those things done that we said we wanted to do. What are some of the things we did? I'll just kind of go over some of the things. At Lomo, we had a mod process to allow for temporary switchgear to power equipment. And that was when electrical equipment fabricators were not able to meet supply deadlines. So Jason Buchanan, construction contracting, thanks to you guys for getting that. McNary, work was awarded to seal a severe leakage in the lock upstream crossover gallery that would have presented major issues for the lock, power, and controls contractor. And that took a couple of PMs. Anthony, Mateo, you guys here? Raise your hand. Nope. You guys all know who they are. And working together with a contractor, our construction team, Geotech, Dan, and contracting to scope that issue, negotiate price, and getting that work done. So thank you all. Okay, at Goose and McNary, Mateo and the construction branch working hard to obtain and process submittals for the lock concrete repair work so that the contractor could get moving on that work to meet the outage end date. And that work is wrapping up now. I know we talk about this in PRB a lot, but I'm so glad we're getting that one done at Granite. Construction, the PM Greg, they worked really smoothly with the contractor to get that floating guide wall timber replacement work completed early. I remember being out there, I don't know, a couple of months ago, and that's pretty cool getting that done. McNary, construction ACO, Chris, and the PM, Anthony, working on the downstream gate gudgeon anchor project, really pressing that contractor to recover that scheduling issue after some, issues with removing the old linkages and the downstream gate causing a lot of schedule slips, but they were able to get that recovered, the time recovered, and they're really on track, and that's huge, right? Because that's getting towards that 2030 goal. So huge accomplishment there, despite some of the, back and forth there. Okay, so I also want to say thanks to PAO, Hannah, Matt, Cole, and the team doing a really great job of communicating to the stakeholders on our outage and some of the work we have going on there. Weekly updates that they give them, as well as Kenny, of course. The time-lapse photography of work that we're doing. I don't know if you guys follow. Do y'all follow the Instagram or our YouTube, things like that? For folks like Dwayne who don't know, Instagram is an app that you can put on your phone and you can look at some of the videos. Yeah, it's on Facebook for the older generation. So TikTok. I don't think we have a TikTok yet. Oh, we're not allowed. Anyway. Yeah, so they have a website too for the work performed on the outage and really great pictures that, we circulate in our TVs around the area. So thanks PAO for doing that. The PMs for this NAV outage work, all their projects, supporting these weekly meetings with the stakeholders, so important. That's part of that outreach again. Having your presentations, your photos, just kind of giving updates. People are interested in that kind of thing and they're invested in it. And so that's good that people are so, people outside the district are so invested in that information. So thank you to Jason at Lomo Power Controls, on the Greg for the floating guide wall, Anthony for that gudgeon anchor replacements, and Mateo, Little Goose concrete repairs. Thank you guys.
We're all on call with the stakeholders.
Oh, well, they're not here, so. All right. All right. The other thing I just want to mention, we had Industry Day. Is James Glenn here? Hey, there he is. Hey, so we had a great Industry Day on Tuesday. We had a lot of folks new to, that has never done business with Walla District, and old folks who are doing business with us come out for that. So thank you for supporting that. If you were able to get out there, I know a lot of the contractor team were out there, a lot of other folks. So thank you for supporting our Industry Day. Okay, I think everything else I have is for the end of the thing. So I think we're going to get into awards and recognitions.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
So before we start that, ma'am, you brought up eWeek. How many folks here supported eWeek this week and volunteered? Okay, a couple folks. I know there's definitely more. They're probably not here. If you didn't know what the E-Week challenge was this year, it was to build the tallest tower, freestanding tower you could out of marshmallows and toothpicks. So I figured if high school kids could do it, our corporate board could do it. So at the most recent offsite, we teamed up and put the corporate board through that challenge. And can anybody guess who won that? If you're thinking Dwayne's team, you're wrong. It was the team of Colonel Kingslack and Colonel Wereback, who ended up beating out Dwayne by about an inch. David Hoffer and John O'Brien should have won, but they got a little cocky, took their hands off it, and it ended up falling over before the time was up. And if you want to know who came in last, it was Alan and myself. It fell over very quickly, and we had a whopping 3 inches. So, okay. So moving into awards and recognitions, we're going to start with recent retirements. And those recently retired are Tommy Penglinen, Jonathan Lomelind, and Thomas Jackma. For upcoming retirements, we have Lorianne Loman O'Brien, Stephen Summers, and Floyd Stredwick. So congratulations on your upcoming retirements. And now I'm going to turn it back over to the commander to give some highlights on recent coins.
Thanks. So I had, I've told you all this before. It is my goal to go out to the projects and visit every project at least once a quarter. And I've realized that I've sort of neglected this building. I mean, you all can tell me if I have. And I'm sorry for that. So I have made it an effort now. And I've asked Laura and, Becky to get me schedule on my calendar, because that's kind of how I run. I go by calendar and just put it in there and get me on the second floor, my first floor. I see the third floor a little more often just because I'm walking around there more. But so I've been able to, over this last quarter, really be able to see folks at their desks, what you're doing, talk about the work you're accomplishing or issues that you might be having. And throughout this time, I've been able to recognize folks recommended by the supervisors or the branch chiefs, and I really appreciate being able to do that and getting out there. For example, yesterday I was up in ops and met Carlos, who so this is related to the building security, right, and increasing our security and notification system. And he developed an app himself, which is amazing to me that he can just develop an app and create that. And I know, right? I'm sure some of you are like, that's easy, but to me, that's amazing. I know, I'm one of the older ones now. But anyway, so he developed an app to be able to get that notification system going. So if somebody was to break a window, we actually get notified. And that's, it's going forward. And I'm really proud of that effort that Carlos did and the team out there, Chris. So thanks for, if you're a branch chief or supervisor or a division chief, thank you for giving me the opportunity to recognize your folks for doing all this great work across the district.
Okay, moving on. Sarah Edwards, could you please come on up? And if we could get Zachary Newby, Victoria Conway, and Amber Pope.
Amber is online, but she's in New Mexico right now.
Yes. Yeah.
And Sarah, if you want to come talk to me.
Yep. So these individuals just recently, within the last couple months, got their contracting certification. It takes them a little over a year of DAU training along with on-the-job training to get their certification under their belt. It's a lot of hard work for them. It's a lot of work for all of you to be able to put up with all of our new interns that we're getting and dealing with them while they're learning the contracting processes. So thank you to you guys also. But it's going to be a long benefit to our contracting team to have these individuals getting their contracting certification, along with having them on as the district and being able to support our mission.
Wow. That's good. That's a hard thing. Study and hard work. So congratulations.
Thank you, Sarah. And next, if we could have Ron Rooks come up and Randy Mello.
I'm not sure where Randy is. He was known. So just basically recently, he had completed his master's in building construction from Auburn University. It's one of the opportunities that we have in construction branch to do. Obviously, we know that there's a lot of work on top of the work that we normally do every day. And just appreciate his ability to do that. And at the same time, he fulfilled detail in our hydropower RTS position, which has been vacant for a while and probably will continue to be for certain reasons. And we're going to make some other changes with that. So just like to recognize the fact that he has supported us for a long time. He is our branch's electrical engineer. Sometimes we forget who is who and doing what where, but he plays a very valuable aspect in the sense that his specific expertise helps us focus on those needs that we have, both plan review and et cetera. But anyway, I just want to thank him for his continued support with all this. And I don't have anything else to share at this point.
And lastly, Allison Needham, if you're out there.
She's in the training.
Okay, so Allison is not here. We want to recognize Allison for being selected as a 39 under 39 for Walla Walla. So if you don't know what that is, the Union Bulletin does an annual 39 people under the age of 39 who have contributed and have been very successful in the region. Allison was recommended and selected for what she does in the real estate office, and we want to recognize her for her selection. Okay, next we're going to move on to certificates of appreciation, and we'll start with Michaela Murdoch. Is Michaela here? There she is. Okay. All right, so for exceptional contributions to the Walla Walla District, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, while serving as the Compensatory Mitigation Banking Review Team, Ms. Murdoch's work while serving, work and dedication to the effort improve the district's mitigation bank compliance requirements, improving the mitigation bank program for applicants, the public, and the aquatic resources. Ms. Murdoch's service reflects great credit upon herself, the Walla Walla District, the Northwestern Division, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Next, Xander Newcomb. Xander? All right.
Somebody sounded surprised.
So over the last quarter, Xander has led the Cost MCX FEMA Cost Estimate Support Project. In this role, Xander has personally reviewed many high-dollar, high-visibility projects associated with multiple natural disasters. Recently, Xander completed the review of a multi-billion-dollar power generation project. This was a quick turnaround, high-stress project, and Xander did an exceptional job in providing independent analysis while supporting the needs of the customer during these challenging set of circumstances. Xander is well deserving of the Employee of the Quarter and a certificate of appreciation. Next is Vera Hamill. There she is. So Vera is receiving this certificate for outstanding performance during staffing shortages and transition in district operations. Vera created a system to provide weekly status updates for document routings after she identified that district operations was not providing efficient updates to administrative officers at the operating projects. These simple status emails sent out on Friday significantly reduced the number of phone calls and emails from the AOs and ensured they knew weekly where their documents were in the process. Vera also took over the district operations suspense tracker and created a system where the information is provided to the chief of operations, deputy chief, and tech support chief weekly. Her increased support has earned a number of compliments and praise from the operating projects and headquarters building alike. Ms. Hamill's outstanding support to the operating projects and district operations is greatly appreciated and brings great credit upon herself and the Walla Walla District. Stacy Payne. Stacy. Stacy is the Safety and Occupational Health Specialist for Construction Branch, with duties assigned throughout the district. Most of them are performed at McNary Lock and Dam due to the workload. Since she was a safety officer at McNary Dam, she has brought great knowledge to the branch's position and been a great asset, integrating more fully with safety officers through the operating projects in the district safety office. Ms. Payne is commended for her dedication and high standards of professional conduct, especially in support of her recent deployment to the island of Maui as part of the response team and cleanup detail due to the recent fires. Ms. Payne's efforts have been appreciated and gone beyond what was expected of her in helping support the mission of USACE and the Walla Walla District. David?
There's one more.
I don't have
Maybe they're not here. I don't have those for anymore.
Cliff?
What's the name of the one? All right. So Cliff Pregine is being, and then I'm going to read the citation. Cliff C. Pregine, for exceptional contributions to the Walla Walla District, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers as the district budget officer from July 2015 to November 2023. Cliff's dedication to duty was never more evident than during the most critical time of the fiscal year. During this period, Cliff took on additional workload of 2 vacant budget analyst positions and single-handedly developed the FY24 initial command operating budget for several communities of practice and functional areas to meet NWD deadlines. He was only able to accomplish these deliverables because he voluntarily canceled his personal leave to ensure Walla Walla successfully defended the 24 budget. He attended regional meetings while he was on active duty military leave. Immediately upon returning from active duty, Cliff took on additional workload to prepare for the district for a successful year-end closeout and year-end startup, or beginning of the year startup. Mr. Pregine has distinguished himself by selflessly placing the accomplishment of the Walla Walla mission above his personal goals and responsibilities. His service reflects great credit upon himself, the Walla Walla District, the Northwestern Division, and the Army Corps of Engineers.
All right, next we're going to move into Heroes of the SITREP. So first we have for January, Brooke Moore. Brooke recently attained grant officer delegation. In the past, all the district's grants and cooperative agreements were executed through NWS and NWK. Having this capability locally will improve Walla Walla's business delivery. Brooke is also a contracting officer and represents a very small percentage of professionals in USACE who carry the authority to serve as both contracting officer and grant officer. All right, for February, we have Abel Garcia. Abel Garcia has played an instrumental role in ensuring smooth functioning of the construction branch quality assurance while meeting McNary modernization project deadlines during a loss of 2 QA representatives over the past 6 months. Abel has worked long weeks and coordinated overtime to coordinate numerous active contracts. Also in February, we have Noe Gonzalez. Noe achieved first place among all NWD public affairs staff in 2 categories during the annual USACE Herbert A. Kasner competition, news photograph and manual or digital illustration. He will advance to compete at the USACE level. The recognition underscores the significant work Walla Walla public affairs staff produce in telling the USACE and Army story and delivering a high quality, professional, and impactful content to accomplish that mission. And for March, we have Chris Yane. Chris Yane enthusiastically undertook the task of inputting the district's budget requirements into the Civil Works Integrated Funding Database while transitioning from a project control specialist to a program analyst. His dedication and hard work exemplify the highest standards of service and bring great credit upon program analysts everywhere. Okay, so next we're going to move on to second quarter employees of the quarter. And if I can have Joe and Chris come up here. So Mr. Van Allen served as a wonderful mentor. He has a tremendous amount of knowledge and experience at the project and offers it freely to guide others. This past winter during Lower Granite's BPA line outage, Mr. Van Allen was on a project involving the replacement of a 500 kilovolt bushing on the bus. With his careful planning and experience, Lower Granite was able to complete the task well under the expected duration while still achieving the goal in the safest way possible. Mr. Van Allen always has a smile on his face and a can-do attitude that can be described as nothing less than contagious. He is a pleasure to learn from and work with. Chris Yane has continued to support his former team and controls as he transitions into the program section. He has worked closely with the business line managers to ensure that all Civil Works Integrated Funding Database information was entered and updated appropriately as multiple changes came through just ahead of the deadline. Chris worked extra hours, including over the weekend, to meet deadlines. In addition, as a new analyst with programs, he is learning 2 new analyst jobs. He is both covering for an analyst who just left the department and also learning his own new analyst duties with a smile. Chris is always very helpful and hardworking. Now, if I could have Cindy come up.
Sorry, guys.
Talk a little bit about it.
Okay. Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Cindy Bowen. I'm the Chief of Planning here in Walla Walla. And I'm up here today because we had the privilege last week to receive this award from the Washington State Governor's Office for one of our projects. And that project is the Clover Island Section 1135 project. It's in Kennewick, Washington. It's an ecosystem restoration project that we partnered with the Port of Kennewick on and the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation. There were also partners from City of Kennewick, Benton County, and the Washington State Recreation and Conservation Office, who provided some of the funding. So this project was several years in the making. You can see all of the partners there on the screen. We took it from feasibility into design and implementation. It was constructed. We had a ribbon cutting last spring with Mr. Pinkham from the Assistant Secretaries that are provided to salmon and bull trout under the Endangered Species Act in the McNary Reservoir. And this award that was recommended by the Washington State Recreation and Conservation Office to Governor Inslee is really a great recognition of the partnership that it took to design and build that project that provides so much benefit to those ESA listed fish, and also, within the larger context, meets the goals of the settlement that was signed with the administration last year to further support recovery of ESA fish in the Columbia River Basin. So this is a fabulous award for the Corps of Engineers and our partners, and I congratulate all of the QDT members and everyone in the district who helped build that project. Thank you. Weaver Collier accompanied me and represented the Corps and went off script and killed it.
But Cindy doesn't know it's always off script, so. All right, so I think that concludes the awards. So next is our CFC update. So Callie.
So we had a spectacular CFC year across the Pacific Northwest Division. We had 695 donors give to 598 charities. So that's a nice spread for a total of $564,000, over $500,000 given there. In terms of Walla Walla, we doubled our donor number. So thank you. That's amazing. But even more impressive than that, we gave 5 times as much as we did last year. So that is a huge number. So we got a gold over the top award for that. It's still in the mail, though I don't have it. So when it gets here, and then also because of our 5 times, as much as last year, we got a superhero award for our coordination efforts. So they only give that to one person in the entire division. So that's pretty cool that we were the superhero of our division. So thanks, guys.
Next will be our ACE update. If Jack, there he is.
Thank you. My name's Jack Sharp, and well, Callie, 5 times.
5 times.
That's impressive. A free baked potato for you today. We've got lunch. We're starting after. Starting at about 11:30, and it's a baked potato spread, a little baked potato bar, if you will, kind of set up, very reasonably priced, and what a great inexpensive lunch and nice heavy carb thing to get you through the rest of the day. Coming up, we've got the Easter egg hunt on the 30th at Rooks Park, and we have a picnic in June. Tentatively, the date is June 21. And we're going to be coming out, putting out an email to the whole group here, asking for people to come to a meeting. We'll discuss what's going to happen at the picnic and what, if you want to play a part of it, we'll be looking for people to help do some things. We always try to have things going on for the whole family, and that takes a lot of people to make that happen, pull that off. So we'll announce the timing of that meeting soon and follow it up with where it's going to be. We are also considering a pool party this year at the Veterans Pool. There's lots of things that go into that, including the availability of the pool and the timing during the day that thing can be leased out. So we'll let you guys know further as that goes along. If the people that are in here that are members of the ACE committee would hold your hands, that would be great. Your hand up. Well, there's 2, there's 3, got to be more than that here. I see 11, 4, 5. Okay, so there's 5 of them in this room of people, and we do lunches every month. We do things like the picnic and that sort of thing. So this is an unabashed plea for you guys to come to that meeting about the pool thing, and we'll talk about participating in the ACE committee. It's the Association of Core Employees. It's for you guys, and we have a lot of fun doing it. It's a lot of work, but it's still a lot of fun, and it's a good cause. So that's all I got, unless you guys have questions. Yes.
Jack, what kind of deal with those cool shirts that you're wearing?
Great question. This one is, I'll be taking orders for these shirts. I'll put out a survey for them to see if you'd like some, and telling you how much it was. This one I had made custom just for me. I had 3 of them made, and that would make them kind of expensive if we do it that way. So I'm going to try to get enough people that would like to order them. And in that survey, you can tell me how much you think it should cost. And just like I did with the coffee cups, except for I kind of messed that one up. So. And we're still working on that. Any other questions? Nope. Okay, thank you.
Next is our safety update. Kevin?
Morning, everyone. Kevin Turman, Acting Chief of Safety. So I want to give you guys just a quick little reminder that it is springtime. Everyone likes to go out and do gardening. When you're out there doing it, make sure you wear your proper PPE, mainly because I don't know how many times I've gone out and thought it would be a good idea to prune roses or do weed whacking in shorts. So always live to regret those decisions. So just keep in mind PPE. So that's all I have for that.
So next we'll be doing our building update, and it's going to be a couple folks. We'll start with TJ. No, that's fine, TJ. We'll start with TJ, and then Rachel, and then Rich Cannon. No problem.
Hey, good morning. What they forgot to mention in the safety update from the spring work, and I did this last week and it got real warm, is to stretch. So I think I pulled a muscle doing spring work on the yard because I haven't done anything all winter. So real quick, want to give everybody an update on the building. If you go to the next slide real quick for me, I put one in there. So we want to take these opportunities. There's a number of committees and boards here in the district that do work to help the administrative and the business function of what's going on throughout the district. So I thought this was a nice opportunity to hear about the building committee and what's going on. So I wanted to let you know who's on that building committee. So the representation for you is the Chief of Staff, so champion, Mr. O'Brien. You got myself as the chair, as TJ. Their MSO chief, Bill Saline, is our lead for that committee. And then we have, of course, our district logistics manager, who's now Tammy's acting in that role. We got a representative from resource management, which is Cliff Prejean. Engineering and construction division representative, which is Marcus Palmer. Operations division rep is Jeanette Kirtley. And contracting division rep is Brooke Moore. And then we also will have our new facility manager who's going to be on the team as that person, and that is soon to be announced out of MSO. So those group with help with others, or those that help decide on how we're going to operate, maintain capital improvements and planning for this building to ensure it's providing you the environment that's right for us to do our work. So with that being said, I wanted to give an update on some projects we'll be working on. We just got done doing some fire stopping and fire dampers, and that's the work you don't see is behind the scenes, but it ensures this building meets code in case we ever would have a fire and things protect each other from room to room. We had a PM with Jeremy who's made sure our exterior doors had a temporary repair. That's now all the doors are working. Every door could be exit. Every door can enter. In addition to that, we have a project going on where we're going to have more of a capital improvement, all these doors to get them up to speed. Now, we expect to award that at the end of this year and have that work being done next year. There is a looking at our parking lot status and what we do with EV charging stations when GSA goes to EV chargers. So we're looking at what are those options here. And in addition, we got a team looking at procuring some EV charging assets that are going to be at the operating plants. So when their EV charging cars come in place, I think DoorShack is tasked to have the first one. So we're trying to get them the assets so they can do their charging it there. Everyone's tracking the office renovation, right? We had the great feedback from everyone on your comments. The team in charge, led by Sam, is taking into consideration. The district corporate board is giving us some guidance, and they're moving forward on getting that effort kind of into a plans and spec package so we can get that done. This year, we got a team kicked off to do our exterior brick sealant. We've done it a few years ago, maybe 10 or 15 years ago. It's time to do it again. So you'll probably see that contractor working it next year. As the renovations and just ongoing maintenance has happened in the building, our as-built data doesn't really reflect our as-is right now. So we're working on trying to get that information up to speed, as well as making sure that what we're doing now and out in the future is part of a master plan. So there's no surprises, and we can prepare for that, just like we do with any operating plant. Things we've learned over the last year with our building, with the break-in, the broken window, we're stepping back and assessing our security systems. We're going to have our protection working group look at what our threat is. We're going to have our information management team, IMTSC, the information committee, and the building committee work together to kind of go like, what does our system, our security system look like now, what it needs to become, and how we're going to get there. As mentioned, I hope I'm not crossing paths with Rachel, but we are working on replacing the damaged windows. As with any building, this building has some hazardous energy. So we're working across the district with them to make sure our hazardous energy protection plan's in place when we're doing work, either day-to-day maintenance or capital improvements. Then we're working on a new maintenance contract as the current contract needs to be recompeted. So lots of efforts are going on by your building committee. And if you have any, suggestions or thoughts, there's the representations for most, we have a fairly well represented from each of the organizations, but feel free to talk to me or anybody in logistics. Okay. Any questions? Thanks. Rachel?
I'm Rachel, in case y'all don't know me. The broken windows that got shot out, they were finally able to procure the dated color of glass that we have in this building. It took them quite a while to come up with something close enough to look good. As of last Friday, they're about 2 to 3 weeks out of getting the glass. And once he has it, we'll schedule the repair. And the windows should be cleaned starting the middle of April, twice a year. Finally got that contract through. So we'll have clean windows and non-broken windows. Any questions? No? Okay.
Thanks,
Morning all. I should probably tell you about noon today, we'll be doing 100% checks coming through the front, and everybody will have to download all their bags. Just kidding. No, I just wanted to lighten it up first so the rest of the information I give you doesn't sound so bad. The window incident. Currently, they do not have any real leads on the suspects. There is one guy that was identified. They're working on trying to locate him, but he is one of those guys that moves from home to home. So they know him very well. They know his parents. They're trying to find if he was really involved in this. Let me give you a little bit more background on that. There was a shooting that was right before the one that happened here with the windows. It happened up by the Safeway. And same group of people, somebody was shooting at them. And so they decided to come walking down this direction. And of course, this building makes a really good backstop. So the guys were shooting at them from over by the barber shop, and there was no ill intent to shoot our building. It just happened to be the backstop that they were using at the time. So not directed towards any of our folks there. Police are still working on, of course, trying to get, who was involved, where the shooter was. We've given them all the footage from the video cameras to try to help them piece it together. This is one of those long-term things that will, if they do catch somebody, it's going to take a while. So that being said, that's all the information I have from it right now. We have stepped up our guard rotations. We have folks coming in on the weekends right now. They come through and do 2 passes through the building, the exterior, interior. They go to the GSA parking lot, checking that out. They're doing that twice a day on the weekends, and that'll keep going until the foreseeable future. Building alarm upgrades has kind of been touched on. We're working on it. Carlos developing his app. We should have something here very quick that if anything does go on, at night or after hours, the building, we will get notified. So it won't be long now. We're almost there. So as we're doing that, we have several teams that are working on trying to get the upgrades, to either upgrade, fix, or replace anything in this building that, as far as alarm systems that don't work. So almost all of it is completely functional. It's just not going anywhere when something happens. The glass breaks did go off when, the bullets did break the windows, but once again, it didn't go anywhere. Good news. This is a good news piece. So our 30 April break-in, our nice guy that came through and destroyed half the building for us. He has been formally charged. He has already been to court here. So for all you detectives out there, you can look in the police record or the court records here and figure out who it is. He is from out of state. The police did have him identified right after it happened. It was just a few days. They knew who he was. One of the hotel, what was it? Best Western, I believe. He was staying there, and they were able to identify him. So that guy, we'll see what happens. It's in the judicial system now. It's going to run through the courts. We'll figure out how much he's got to pay, or if we're going to have to do a tort claim on him to, get the money out of him. But justice is being served. So, any questions on that one? That's all I got, ma'am. So.
All right. Almost as important as security, timekeeping policy. Come on up, Dave.
All right. Well, I had prepared an extensive timeline, and then it got reduced down to the 30th of June as the target effective date. I mean, primarily because y'all don't really want to know how we get there. You just want to know when we expect to get there and what it's going to look like. So just to give you an idea what it's going to, the timekeeping. Well, first, I just want to say I update this timekeeping policy every 2 years. So it's always a moving target. OPM's always changing rules and regulations and federal code on what you can do when it comes to timekeeping, labor, overtime, things like that. So it was due to be updated anyway. I think the last update was in September of 21. So the last one, the one that's published out on the web internet page. And so I was already working on it, but it kind of got accelerated because of some interest that came through the commander's inbox. So good job, whoever put that in, kind of got it accelerated. Add to my list of duties to do. Appreciate that. But so it looks like, why is it going to take so long? Why 30 June? Well, there's a lot of stuff that has to go into it. Like I said, I'm going back. I have 2 years of things that I need to put in there. Every time I publish one, get one signed by the current commander, I'm keeping track of everything that's changed in the law and the Federal Register, things that are kind of need to be better worded in the OM itself. And I keep a working copy of that. And so there's been a lot of changes over the last 2 years. It's going to take time to go through all that. And so just so you know what's going on with the timekeeping OM, I guess the approach that I've taken is a little different this year. I'm going to write it to be completely flexible based on what OPM authorizes. And then I'm going to present to the corporate board and then allow the corporate board to decide what they want to take out, what we want to take out, or at least recommend to the commander what to take out. And so it's going to take some time to put all that together, but I'm going in with 100% of what OPM authorizes. So what that means is full flexibility in all the different AWS schedules, all the compressed work schedules, the flexible work schedules, the whatever the minimum limitations are on core hours and things like that. So, and then it'll be a pretty good debate at the corporate board about, what we want to leave in and what is going to get taken out. And then I'll compile that, and then I got to get it through Tech Writer, because you know I'm not a great writer. If you've seen my emails, they're very long, but sometimes they're not great. Mark Twain said if I had more time, I'd use less words. So that's not where I'm at. So then it's got to go through records management to make sure that, you know, it meets the, what is the compliance? Where's the record manager around here? Where's Elisa? 408 compliance, 804 compliance, something like that. And then once that's done, then it has to get signed by the commander, final approval by the commander. So targeting 30 June. So what are your questions? None? See, this isn't even a hot topic. We can push this out another year.
I can ask a question, Dave.
Yeah, sure.
Are there any changes in particular that you're tracking you might see?
Well, you know, I mean, there's a lot of different flexible work schedules that we don't currently offer in the timekeeping OM. And so if you want to do your own research, you can go out and go to OPM's website and look at the one that's not in there is AWS 4, which is called, can't remember the name of it. It's like, it's a bi-weekly schedule. It's a 80-hour schedule. And then there's AWS 5, which is called Maxi Flex. So that's not currently in there. I'm going to throw that in and let the corporate board will debate over that. And there's one that I didn't even know existed. I think it's relatively new. It's AWS 7. For a while, I thought it was a compressed work schedule. It actually is a flexible work schedule. And that's actually called Straight 40, which is what we thought AWS 3 was, but it's not. So, so there's some little complexities in AWS 3 that we thought it operated like AWS 7, but it doesn't. So I suspect if AWS 7 stays in the final draft, that most of y'all are going to want to go to AWS 7 because it is truly a straight 40. But then every different AWS schedule, every one of those flexible schedules impacts core hours, core days, and then also some overtime aspects and comp time aspects. So I gotta spell out each one of those. I'm trying to put in a matrix to show these are the schedules that are offered, and these are the key points of each schedule to help out supervisors and employees to know which one works best for them. So that's where we're at. All right, no other questions? All right, thank you.
So just one note on that, once it is finally approved, it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody will get what they want. It'll still be up to supervisor and leader approval for each specific individual based on their case. So just want to caveat that. So there may be a lot of options. That'll be for leaders and supervisors to determine what makes the most sense for the people that they supervise. So, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
That's great.
David said everybody gets whatever they want.
Okay, so I just want to cover coming up this Saturday. So the DoD budget expires, Saturday morning when federal funding is, slated to lapse. But what does that mean? So we've had discussions. I know Danny Fichero has been heavily involved with discussions with potential impacted parties with that. We've had meetings in the past, last year, 2 different meetings. So I welcome if we need to continue, definitely welcome having more of those discussions as needed. Just let me know. And I welcome having another conversation about it. But in the end, if not, it's what we've discussed before in the past, as far as if there's going to be a furlough or not. At this point, the impact to Walla Walla staff is the DA funded fellows, not the other Walla Walla employees, if there is an impact. There's an article. There's a lot of news online too. If you're more interested to know what's going on there and why it's, continuing resolution after another and another. I won't get into that reason though. Either way, Monday we all come back to work still. There's not, hopefully, hopefully we know, past, but we'll see what happens. Okay. Any questions on that before I move to the next topic? No? Okay, great. So I did want to talk about the command climate survey and kind of where we are, because, I've asked the major to, lead up this effort with the branch chiefs and, the second chiefs who had their own surveys within their sections done. And so in June, we're going to have a much more detailed update to the group here on where we are with our actions in order to address the concerns that you all had in the Command Climate Survey. But what the team has been able to do thus far, a lot more than what I'm going to describe, but they have been able to analyze it, review it, and determine from all the feedback that I got from you all and the rest of the district, they've determined there's 4 major themes that we're going to address. And those themes are fostering a positive work environment, personal, professional development, employee health and safety, and then communication. So those are the 4 themes that we're basing our action plan, like organizing our action plan into. And so you can kind of see when you go back to my top 5 O-Plan objectives, you can see why those are my top 5s in the way that they are. They actually address each of these 4 themes in some way or another as well. So it's all connected in the things we're doing here in the district for our long-term plan and vision, our short-term plan and vision, and this action plan to directly address the Command Climate Survey comments and results that we got from you all. So with that, I don't, unless there's questions, there will be more of a detailed update on it in June. Questions? No? Okay. All right. So I just want to give kind of a little bit of updates on where we are with things. If you aren't tracking, I mentioned this before. So the general, the CG, General Van Ups, said that he was going to come do town halls in the Walla Walla district because of the Columbia Basin River Initiative that came out in December. And so I told you that's what he's going to do. So he has decided that he is now going to do that. I might have had to poke him a little, like, sir, can you come down and do this town hall? So he's going to do it. And he's coming out May 1st through the 3rd. The timeline's still kind of iffy, but that's when he's coming out here. And his goal is to go to every Lower Snake River Dam project and have a little, maybe not town hall, but all hands, things like that. And also to the headquarters building. So I'm just letting you know that'll be the first couple of days in May. We're working out the details with his staff, but we plan to get him to all 4 of the Lower Snake River dams. And so any questions you might have related to CBRI, I encourage you to ask them to him. And I encourage you all to attend the town halls, whether it's here at the Lower Snake River Dams, and ask all the questions. Okay, he is switching out command June 28th. So that's his change of command date that has been identified, and the incoming commanding general for NWD is Brigadier General Gibbs. It's Brigadier, right? Yes. Yeah. So Brigadier General Gibbs, I know the guy, he's awesome. I think he's going to be amazing here for us. He is currently the POD, so the Pacific Ocean Division commander. So he's got a lot of MILCON experience. He's got a lot of USACE experience. So that already kind of puts him ahead and to be able to kind of move forward a little just because he understands USACE lingo and kind of some of how the USACE works. So he's got, I think, 3 years or 2 to 3 years in POD, and then he's moving here to be the new division commander. June 28th, their change of command is in Bonneville. And then my transition plan, just so you know, and we can talk more about this in June, but I switch out July 12th. And the new commander is Lieutenant Colonel Warback. She was my partner in the Marshmallow Tower building where we beat David Hoffer and all these other guys. Anyways, that's not that important, but I had to bring that up. Where was I? Oh yeah. So she will be here at the June town hall and we'll talk a little more in detail about our transition plan, but I plan to start bringing her in here at the end of June and then really like having that left seat, right seat between all of our travels and things like that. My goal is to get her one-on-one briefs with all the branches here and everyone here, and then get out to as many projects as I can get her to as well, and our field offices. Okay, and as far as my path, and we can talk more about it later in June if wanted, but I am going to Joint Base Lewis McChord, which is formerly known as Fort Lewis, and that is near Tacoma, Olympia area, which was where I wanted to go because my plan is to buy a house out there and settle down and, I don't know, have fun. But I do have a job, so I'm going to be going to become the First Corps engineer. So First Corps is, I guess you could relate it to, like, if you look at a USACE hierarchy, we have our district and our division, and then the headquarters USACE. So First Corps, I guess, could be like the headquarters USACE, in the line of things. And they oversee like the Pacific area of operations. So from like Hawaii to Guam and to Alaska, West Coast, that's kind of their area that they look at. So that's what I'll be doing. Nothing to do with civil works. Unfortunately, I'll be doing completely like Army engineer stuff, which I've been away from for a couple of years. So I got to catch up on there. All right. And I did want to emphasize that, Rich gave a good update on where we are with the security stuff and how we're like looking at, and TJ too, on how we're trying to improve security systems in the building. But also I just want to emphasize, like the other thing that we had done recently is the folks that used to be contractors in our front here are now GS employees. And it's just proving to be a lot more beneficial because now, for example, at Lower Granite, they have lost a couple of security guards or losing because of, retirements and things like that. And so we're able to flex our GS employees to go out there and cover some of the security guard, job and duties that they have at Lower Granite. Or for example, when I first came here, CAC cards and getting availability for somebody to do that, that was a concern because, we only had one person to do it and, one system, and it's a difficult system. And so now we've trained these, our now GS folks, our guys to become those CAC-enabled folks who can help you and our employees with getting CACs or fixing your CACs if you get locked out. So just different things like that. And that just helps with everyday things, with the process and the system, with onboarding. And so I just want to emphasize like Rich and Luke and the major for helping with getting that, a better system going for all of us. Okay, those are all of my topics. What questions y'all have for me? You guys are quiet, man. No questions. You guys are easy. I don't want to have you guys leave too early because then you'll miss the baked potato lunch. No, nothing?
I have a question now.
Yes, sir.
I was wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing with us, we only get to touch base with commanders for a relatively short period of time. So I was wondering if you maybe regale us with like some of the things that you found most interesting in your time here with Walla District.
Most interesting.
Or most difficult. Or whatever,
Yeah. So his question was, we only have a small time frame to interact with the commanders since we're only here for 2 years. And then, what are some of the most difficult, interesting things that I've encountered in my past year and a half or so? Well, I would say one of the more difficult was, when I first took command, we had the death at Dvorak, and that was probably the hardest thing. I think the weekend before I even took command, or it was the weekend after command, I went to the funeral and the memorial service and the family, and mostly just, that's a difficult situation, and going through the safety investigation boards and things like that, and also having to talk to the families and explain the situation and what happened there. That was probably the most difficult. And why? Because it's very emotional. It's hard, to explain some things to, that might not be good to hear. So that would probably be one of the more difficult things. I would say one of the things I am proud of is this McNary spillway concern that we have. Tim Roberts, when I first came here, I think my first tour was in like August or something to McNary. And that was he brought that up right away. He was like, hey man, we have an issue. And, being new, I was like, I assumed it's somebody's doing something about it. And so I think, when I was finally able to settle a little and think about things in December, I was like, hey, what's going on with the thing here? And so since then now, look at where we are. We've got these handrails are in, they've moved their gates around. So now we can operate for fish while also reducing the strain on the cranes and hoists. We got support all the way up to headquarters as far as the project. And anyways, we just have all this support, and it's moving forward. It's still a slow process because that's just the process of the civil works budget, but at least it's moving forward, and we have full support verbally from everyone. So I would say that's probably one of the things I'm most happy and proud of, because that's directly getting after the safety of, our people. And it's a lot of effort, and everyone here at the projects has been extremely supportive. I just gave a coin to Melita yesterday in contracting because she was spending weekends and late nights making sure we can get that handrail contract through. And it's like, you look at it from afar and you're like, what? It's a handrail. Who cares? It's not that expensive. It's a handrail. But then you explain like why the handrail and why it's important. You look at the big hole in the on the the spillway there. It's a huge hazard. So these handrails are very important, regardless of them just being a handrail. So anyways, that's probably something I'm most proud of is that thing. I guess like the complication is like this whole budget process and like not just the USACE Civil Works budget process, but integrating it with like BPA's budget process and their approval process. That's still like a mystery. And I really appreciate people like TJ and Doug who like know it like the back of their hand, and like all the business line man, like that's just such a complicated thing to do. And then you go into these continuing resolutions and it gets even more complicated with the way just money flows in the district. So that's one thing I would say is probably the more complicated things. And it's just people like you all being experts in your fields that help us get the money that we need when we need it based on the requirements that we have in the future. So I appreciate that most. Yeah, yes, Ron.
I'm glad to hear his question because I work quite a bit with the fellows that rotate through construction branch, and every 4 weeks I sit down with them and have a kind of a debriefing. Status set of questions is somewhat general, so I can figure out if they're on track and just what they're learning. So some of the same questions I'd like to pose to you is kind of tied to what he's saying. But I ask questions like, what have you enjoyed so far? What kind of things have you discovered you didn't expect to discover? Any kind of epiphanies during that moment? So I do, like I said, I ask those questions every 4 weeks in an exit interview. So thinking about those same kind of questions, what kind of things have you experienced in this district relative to those kinds of questions?
Okay, ask the questions again one more time for me.
Okay, that's fine. That was a mouthful. So I'll go slower. So what kind of things have you enjoyed about being here?
Okay, yeah, what have I enjoyed?
What kind of things have you discovered that you didn't expect to discover?
Yeah.
And then any kind of epiphany that you've gained, I guess added to that, anything you might do differently coming away from here?
Yeah, so I would say like when I first came here, everything seemed to be running so great. And Alan would just be like, oh, everything's perfect here. We don't need a commander. And he would like try to kick me out of the district and all these things. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. But I'll be honest, like when I first came to the district, everything seemed to be running so well. And, the processes are perfect. Everything's perfect. And so I almost felt like, well, what's the point of me being here then if everything is perfect? But then it's like you really dig into it and you kind of see some surprising things like how stovepipe, even though we think we collaborate so well, actually like either whether it's stovepiping or fighting or something like that, that actually does exist. I mean, we're people, right? That's going to exist anywhere. But I think what, and this is common anywhere you go. So it's not, I guess, surprising, but personalities do really determine a lot of our ability to cooperate and work together and things like that, right? And you always say, oh, you can't hire based on a person. You're supposed to like hire based on what the job is and these things, and you really should operate based on like what is the duty and the job and the mission. However, we are people, and people are, are human, and we interact and we do things like that. So you really have to consider that person behind the duty, position, and the mission a lot of the times. And they, another way to look at it is they always say like the personality of the district kind of flows downward from the head of an organization. And so like, I do see that like especially in Army organizations, like the tone of the unit that you're in is really, it is really set by that head person, even though you might only talk to that head person like once every few months. It really does set like the tone for like all the way through the district or the unit you're in. Like for example, I noticed when I was a lieutenant, one of my first units, the battalion commander, I would say, is toxic. He was a toxic guy, and he just cared about like, I don't know, being a colonel and like just, I don't know, his own benefits and things like that. And people felt that, like everybody all the way down to me, where I was like the lowest level as a platoon leader with all my, my 30 soldiers, and they all hated the Army and like, FML or FTA. If you don't know the acronym, that's okay. But they would just say those kind of things all the time. And like, you're a lieutenant, so you're kind of like, yeah, I guess I could see that, and, but it was true, it was like his toxicity really transpired all the way down. But then I go to a unit when I was in the 249th Engineer Battalion Prime Power Unit, and my commander was like super bubbly, super happy, and just really a positive person. And you could just tell like everybody was very, like it's catching, like we were saying that about, who were saying that about Christiane or somebody, like, you know, his bubbly personality just kind of, it's catching to other people. And so, you know, knowing that, I came in here thinking, well, I really care about like people and those things. I might not be a technical expert. I might not be a hydropower technician or whatever, but I do know people, and I know I want to emphasize, you know, empowerment of people, you know, like all the things that you should do to care for people. You know, it's not just like catering to people. It's about caring for people, whether it's safety, a better workplace, things like that. So I kind of came into the job wanting to emphasize on that, knowing those things, my experiences, because I think it makes a difference. Some of the more interesting or like odd things, I guess, our relationship with the service, like just our relationships in general with like the services and all that kind of thing, and how complicated or odd it is, and how much we have to really depend on other people and other agencies to do things in order for us to move forward on things. You know, that's really important. And I really learned that more so through the processes we have to go through and things that we do here. Did I answer all of those questions? You had like a lot.
You answered it. It was a mouthful, but I'm just curious what maybe you gained from your experience so far.
Yeah, I would say all those things I've gained, like a lot of, you know, personal things from, I guess, being like a first female commander here too, that also had made a little bit of a difference from both people and from your children or from the tribes who are saying to me like, wow, finally, or wow, this is amazing. You know, I'm a kid and I have somebody to look up to or something like that. You know, that's been personally just like nice. And I've enjoyed that, but also the challenges on the other end, facing kind of like, I don't know, biases or something, just like some sort of fact that, you know, I'm not a male. You know, there's all in dealing with that, you know, not so much here in the district, but just elsewhere. And so that's also been different and also helping. So it's been nice to be able to be this first female and a person of color, I guess, because that is also different. And, you know, when I was growing up in the Army, all of my mentors and leader, or not mentors, but people that you have to look up to, your options, were all kind of like people who I didn't always feel like I could connect to because maybe they weren't, you know, they weren't female, so maybe they don't understand some of my issues or something like that. And just, it was hard to find like somebody who I felt like I could like really connect with and talk personal stuff about. And so being now in a position where I can do that to certain people who maybe have never had a senior leader, like a commander in that position is nice too. And so I really appreciate people who come to me just asking questions, whether it's officially or informally, to help provide my perspectives and share in our experiences. And hopefully provide a good example as well to maybe people who have like, I've met like people in the Army too, who are like, oh, I've never had a female boss. Oh God, the next person's a female boss. And then later he's like, wow, that was great. And there's all these different perspectives and ways that person thought that I'd never experienced before. And he learned that from having, you know, a female boss, just because the perspectives can sometimes be a little different. And so I've seen it that way too. So I haven't heard that experience on my end, but hopefully that is the case. I don't know. So Alan doesn't tell me that. He tells the opposite, but you know, that's good. And the other thing I learned is don't ever drive with Alan. I'm sorry, I'm picking on you so much. No, we do a lot. The best driver on the corporate board. No, actually, Dwayne, you did pretty good. I would have to say, although you broke my window shield, so maybe not.
It was the weather.
It was the weather. No, I don't know. You all are good drivers, except a couple. Other questions? Yes.
Our clinical committee of practice talked about the reduction in funding for IT support. Can you touch on how that's going to affect our district?
IT support reduction. Who can help me answer that?
So the question is, there's a rumor or a belief that there's a reduction of funding in IT, and how will it affect the district? I'll speculate on what I think you're asking, because I haven't heard that there's a reduction of spending per se. The headquarters is looking at reducing some of the labor that they hire or that they manage under the headquarters G6 organization. And they're looking at shedding some of those responsibilities and then allowing the districts to pick up those responsibilities where we pay for them out of Hyde. Is that what you're alluding to, or is there something different that I'm missing? So I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work, but under the leadership of I would say the corporate board and Rich Collins, we are debating and evaluating how we want to pick up some of those duties and responsibilities. We have decided that the 3 technical IT specialists that we have that are currently employed by the G6 and their supervisor, that we will fund them. And so we have what they call a TDL, a technical direction letter request to headquarters, and saying that we will fund them because we believe that if we don't have that support, then it's going to be a real problem for all of us when we have IT issues. They've also announced now that the G6 is under a lot of pressure to reduce cost. And so they are continuing to announce services that they would like to no longer do, but I guess I'd say shed, and then the districts can pick those up. So there's other things beyond those 4 people that we're still evaluating, and that was just announced in the last week or two. So I don't know exactly where we are in that. John O'Brien and I, the chief of staff, were talking here earlier today that it could be that we will have to set up a more formal shadow IT organization within the district. What's interesting is that Walla Walla was one of the very first districts in the core to hire an IT specialist, and so Dustin Johnson is that an IT planner, and because we saw that we weren't getting perhaps the support we needed. So we did that. Now other districts have done it as well. But the question is, do we need a larger IT organization within the district, a shadow IT, if you will, that was strictly forbidden years ago, to perhaps now have the command and control of these folks, so that ensuring that you're getting the support that you need. So it's evolving. I've got a meeting with all the DPMs here in a couple of weeks. IT has been a issue for the last 5 or more years of maybe concern for the DPMs. So the good news is that I perceive that we're in very good shape. We've got fiber to all the locations. We've got redundancy at all the locations, and we're developing automatic failover so that if one of those systems goes out, it fails into another one. So I think we're well ahead of the rest of the core with setting up the things that we can control. We don't control, though, however, a lot of the enterprise systems. But I think we're setting ourselves up for success. We anticipate in the next 2 years the Corps of Engineers will move most of its local services to the cloud. And so the connection with the cloud is going to be very important. And so that's why we've been really focusing on getting fiber from every single workplace with redundancy so that we don't run into problems. And I could go on, but does that answer your question? Is that what you're looking for? Okay. Any other questions associated with IT while I'm up here? Yeah.
Just a recommendation. VHF radios, in my professional opinion, we have more expertise in our high grades and just people here in the district than headquarters has in regards to VHF radios. There's a natural function. We just do better than they would anyway.
So the comment was, we have very good technical expertise in VHF, or very high frequency radios, in the district, and with our K grades. So let's take advantage of those services. And what I would say is that right now we are relying very heavily on Chad Reinard to set up a vision for where we want to go with radios. We're prepared to support that, but right now, every time I engage on the topic of radios, he's wants me to defer to him, and so I will. If he's Chad, I don't know if you're here.
No,
he's not here, but point well taken, and Paul is here in that, and we'll make sure that we pass that on to him.
We just went through a procurement of VHF radios, and so we just could have done this better without the assistance of headquarters. I'll just leave it at that.
So the comment was that we just procured very high frequency radios, and we could have done a lot better if we had not had help from headquarters. Point well taken. We do have to work with our headquarters. I don't know under what conditions that happened, but certainly I will discuss it with Chad and Dustin and others. And
trying to communicate with them things like code plugs and the technical aspects of programming the radios. Yeah, it just would be better off to have Kate Ray do it.
Got it. Thank you. Ron?
With this change, will it change service, or is it just will that stay the same as just how it's structured behind the scenes?
Is Rich Collins by chance here? So my perception is right now it should be transparent to you. You should still call the help desk, and that help desk will communicate it to our staff. If there's a change, we will let you know. But right now, my goal is for it to be transparent to you, and there shouldn't be a lot of change. But of course, as always, I want your feedback. And if you're not getting the support you need on the things that we can control, we just need to know it so that Rich Collins or Major Collier or John O'Brien or myself, we can provide you the support you need. We understand the importance of IT to your success, and so I've got kind of maybe a bad reputation for being poking on that topic a lot.
All right. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate it. Good questions. Okay, so I know we only have a couple before we got the baked potato bar. I just want to say that I forgot to mention. So last week, Alan and I went out to the Hill and we met with our representatives, state of Idaho, Washington, Wyoming, and just, we went over, emphasized the programs we're doing, all the great work we're doing here, navigation out, all the different things. And, just express the work that we're doing and thanks to them for, their continued support. While we were out there, I do want to mention that we were able to go out to, we have a USACE historian, Dr. Longquest. We were also able to go out to one of the USACE facilities out there called Humphreys Engineer Center. And that's just in Northern Virginia. And we were able to get a tour of the USACE archives and all the documentation. So that's basically the enterprise USACE holds all of enterprise-wide level historical documents and photos and things like that. It's like a staff of 7 different PhD folks that work there, and they are obviously very passionate and love everything they do. We do now have a library technician. If you want to raise your hand over there, he's right there. Hello, yeah. He's coming to us from actually College Place, and definitely happy to have him there. I know that library that we have here has been vacant for a while, so very happy to have him there. And I just want to say it was a great visit. I think it went really well. And if you have any questions about library stuff, you got a guy now to go to. All right. So thanks everyone for being here. Stick around because here in a couple minutes they're going to start doing cooking on with the baked potatoes. Thank you all for your attention. Have a great day.